Happy Pride Month, and more importantly, perhaps, happy birthday month to me. Well, I did this back in March for Women's History Month, and I'm back again because I have some more to say, but this time with a focus on the queer community. So I don't think I can leave it at that video that I made a while ago, because more needs to be brought to the surface about what so many members of our community need. So let's start with this statement that I pulled from a thesis on gender in gaming that says, the game industry generates most games based on satisfying cisgender, heterosexual, and white men. I do believe this is true, since generally much of the gaming population is traditionally among members of that majority, and a legitimately good business practice is to continue designing for those people. That's how you make money. That's how you succeed. And excluding the minority doesn't hurt you that much, business-wise. Luckily, this practice has recently evolved a bit, but don't get it twisted, it's mainly because it's a business trend to support the queer community, not necessarily because gaming developers or communities care about the queer community. Now, why are queer people a minority in gaming communities? I mean, there seems to be a lot of us. Why are we still the minority? Well, there's plenty of reasons. For example, we're still existing within a society built around the success of cisgender, heterosexual white men, so we are very slowly integrating other identities throughout our spaces, including gaming. More and more queer gamers are entering the space, but one specific reason they are still minoritized was stated by Megan Condis in her piece on gaming masculinity, where she said that sexuality is often perpetrated as inherently sexual, which is considered inappropriate in video game settings. According to her, this ensures that heteronormativity remains in power. So we've been taught to assume that gamers are straight and appeal to them, and if you're openly queer in a gaming space, you are viewed as harmful and inappropriate. According to a 2018 paper, people presume that a gamer's identity is young, white, straight, and male, so any representation within gaming of individuals who do not fit those identities is often considered to be an insult to real gamers. Even in video games that have tried to include representations of the LGBT+ community, they have actually reinforced discriminatory beliefs in many cases. This one particular 2023 thesis dives deep into that, specifically in League of Legends. And basically they concluded that every attempt by League to incorporate queer stories has been associated with an asterisk, with basically, okay, but we have to make sure we don't go too hard with it because we don't want to upset the straight men who play our game. I'm not trying to go too deep into League here because I'm not familiar with the game, but what I can glean from this is that even if games are putting up the facade of caring, they're really just trying to get the queer community off our backs. They want to make sure the bare minimum requirements for queer representation are met so everyone will shut up and it won't hurt their main audience, straight men, too badly. So why is this stuff important? Well, because that shows us, the queer community, that the games we play don't actually care about representing us or allowing us to be represented. You could say many things about Unite or the entire Pokémon IP refusing to acknowledge or promote queer identities. Pokémon fans debate about the queer status of certain characters based on subtle hints placed in the anime or the games, but these have never been outright canonized, and basically to me that just means that perhaps the hints are there so that the queer community can leave it alone and enjoy the speculation without them having to address it directly. So what now then? Well, the queer community isn't being represented or uplifted by the games we play directly, so we need your help to do that on our own. Besides representation within a game, one thesis describes that other forms of representation, namely community and belongingness, are also crucial for queer progression within the gaming community. It's exhausting having to establish ourselves in every community we're in as needing to belong there without it already being assumed that we should be. So if you are a member of the queer community, keep being you and using your voice to be loud about your place here in gaming. If you're not a member but an ally, we need you too. Just following or watching queer creators isn't enough. We need you to say things, do things that encourage our existence here, because believe it or not, people are more likely to listen to a gamer within the dominant identity groups. They're more likely to hear a straight person on queer issues rather than a queer person. That doesn't mean you should overshadow queer voices, but we need your help to lift them up. How can you do this? Exactly. Talk openly about queer issues in your content. raid queer streamers, post about Pride Month and how important it is, interact with queer people. The list goes on. I have been lucky enough to be part of a community that has a lot of queer representation and recognition within the community, at least, and I have still had so many conversations with other queer community members, and we just can't understand why we continue to be apologetic toward blatant anti-queer behavior. I guess after doing this research, I have the answer, and it's that we still feel the need to appeal to the majority and expect queer people to sit down and shut up. There are plenty of specific examples I could bring up within this community, ones that I've been involved in and discussed ad nauseum, but I'm not doing that here. If you're watching this video, it's likely that you already know what I'm talking about and don't need to relive some of the homophobia, or especially transphobia, that this community has faced. And I think that brings us back to why we even need queer representation in gaming spaces in the first place. And it's because direct harm is encouraged without it. And things like that are exactly why we need those majority voices to continue to uplift ours. And hey, I'm a queer creator, so if you want to work with me, or if you're interested in getting in touch with some queer creators to work with, or some queer people to follow, I can help facilitate that. As always, all sources are linked below, and I'll see you all at NAIC. Bye!